The U.S.-China economic relationship is a complex interplay of cooperation and competition. Despite political rhetoric portraying an economic war, the financial integration between Wall Street and China remains deep. This summary provides an overview of this dynamic, including historical context, current trends, and potential future scenarios, suitable for a 60-second documentary-style video. Diplomatic relations between the U.S. and China were formally established in 1979, leading to increased trade and economic ties. China's reform and opening up starting in the 1980s spurred significant economic growth and integration into the global economy. The U.S. granted China Most Favored Nation status in 2001. Even with growing ties, trade disputes have been a persistent feature of the relationship, often centered on issues like trade imbalances and intellectual property rights. While political discourse often emphasizes strategic competition and potential decoupling, economic interdependence persists. The U.S.-China trade war, particularly from 2018, involved the imposition of tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods. However, the effects have been complex. Studies suggest that U.S. consumers have borne a significant portion of the tariff costs through higher prices. The trade war has also negatively impacted real income in both the U.S. and China. Despite efforts to disentangle supply chains, especially in sensitive technology sectors, trade and investment ties remain substantial. Wall Street firms have significantly expanded their engagement in China, establishing subsidiaries, obtaining licenses, and participating in Chinese capital markets. U.S. companies have invested heavily in China, with investments supporting jobs and contributing to the U.S. economy through R&D and dividend payments. China has become a major destination for U.S. investors, with portfolio investment surging over the years. China's financial sector has opened up, allowing foreign firms to tap into a vast market. Wall Street has played a role in developing China's financial system, transferring knowledge and legitimizing its market practices. Despite earlier retreats, some Wall Street figures are once again investing in Chinese stocks, drawn by stimulus measures and low valuations. The U.S. views its relationship with China through the lens of strategic competition, addressing unfair trade policies, cyber activity, and human rights issues. The U.S. has raised concerns about China's unfair trade practices, including forced labor and state subsidies. China's investment climate is considered restrictive, with challenges including arbitrary legal enforcement and a lack of regulatory transparency. U.S. export controls and restrictions may be impacting investment into China. U.S. companies investing in China face political risks and potential entanglement in trade talks. Economic interdependence between the U.S. and China is likely to persist, with both countries managing competition and cooperation. China may continue to strengthen commercial exchanges with countries involved in the Belt and Road Initiative. The U.S.-China relationship is expected to undergo shifts characterized by enhanced communication and selective cooperation. The global financial system is a complex network facilitating the flow of capital between countries. China's economic transformation began with reforms in the late 20th century, attracting foreign investment due to its low labor costs and vast market potential. Its accession to the World Trade Organization in 2001 significantly boosted its role in global trade and finance. Foreign direct investment has been a primary channel, with multinational corporations investing heavily in manufacturing, technology, and infrastructure. China's capital controls regulate the inflow and outflow of money, managing the exchange rate, and setting quotas for foreign investment. One hidden mechanic is round-tripping, where Chinese companies reinvest money from overseas back into mainland China for preferential treatment. Another is trade misinvoicing, where companies falsify invoices to move capital illicitly across borders, avoiding taxes and duties. Underground banking networks also facilitate transfers outside the official system, often bypassing capital controls. Hong Kong serves as a key gateway for capital flows due to its more open financial system. The Belt and Road Initiative, China's global infrastructure strategy, involves massive outbound investments in developing countries. Understanding these complex dynamics is vital for assessing the long-term implications of global finance and China's growing influence. Most people never chose this. Yet their money moved anyway, because the largest capital transfers in history no longer require consent. They require index inclusion. By the late 2010s, the global financial system quietly transformed, replacing active decision-making with automated benchmarks and rules. This is how trillions of dollars are now allocated automatically, not invested in the traditional sense, following weightings, not values. This system allowed massive capital flows into China, bypassing public awareness, as index committees triggered mandatory rebalancing. Major institutions like BlackRock, JP and Goldman Sachs played critical roles, providing infrastructure, access, and market design. Capital, it turns out, follows stability and structure, not necessarily morality or political alignment, seeking growth where it can be found. The consequences for the average citizen include inflation and a quiet loss of purchasing power, as the system prioritizes institutions over individuals. This invisible machine reveals that financial architecture has escaped political jurisdiction, with capital moving before voters even realize what is happening.
So now the picture is complete. The trade war was loud. The capital movement was silent. And silence is where real power operates. From 2018 to 2020, Americans were told a simple story, that the United States was finally standing up to China, that tariffs meant resistance, that toughness meant control. But the numbers told a different story. While speeches filled television screens, $1.4 trillion quietly crossed borders. Not by accident, not by confusion, but by design. BlackRock, JP Goldman Sachs, Vanguard, the institutions that sit at the center of the global financial system, did not misread the moment. They read it perfectly. They understood something most people never see. That politics moves in cycles, but capital moves in patterns. And those patterns repeat with ruthless consistency. This was never about Trump. It was never about tariffs. It was never even about China. It was about stage 3 turning into stage 4. A moment in every financial empire's life when debt grows faster than productivity, when money creation replaces discipline, and when the system's architects quietly reposition before the consequences arrive. Britain experienced it. Germany experienced it. Every reserve currency in history has experienced it. America is not special. The most unsettling part of this story is not that capital moved to China. It's that it moved without public awareness. Through indexes, through pensions, through passive funds, through systems no one voted for and no politician controls. This is why outrage came too late. You cannot stop a financial mechanism with a political speech. China didn't need to defeat the United States. It only needed to be stable enough, large enough, and integrated enough to absorb the flow. And Wall Street followed the math. Not loyalty, not ideology. Math. The trade war gave people comfort. The capital flows revealed reality. Because the global financial system doesn't collapse dramatically. It repositions quietly. And by the time the public feels inflation, stagnation, and loss of purchasing power, the exit is already complete. This does not mean America is finished, but it does mean the rules have changed. The era where debt had no cost is ending. The era where money printing felt painless is over. The era where reserve currency privilege protected living standards is fading. What replaces it will not feel like collapse. It will feel like adjustment. And adjustment always feels unfair. History leaves us with one final lesson. There are no villains in this story. There is no secret cabal. There is only structure repeating itself. Debt creates power. Power creates excess. Excess creates instability. Instability triggers migration, not of people, of capital. While the world argued about politics, the system moved on. And now the only remaining question is not what governments will do. It's what individuals will understand. Because the people who recognize the pattern early adapt, and the people who don't adapt late. History does not choose between them. It simply continues.